So we are going to discuss or review basics of quantum mechanics. Now you don't need too much of quantum mechanics, but maybe little bit of quantum mechanics is kind of you have to just brush it up, right? So in last lecture we had a preview of semiconductors, and we found that there are electrons and holes, right? And these electron and holes, we viewed them as particle, right? So for particle you don't need to solve wave equation, you can just treat them as particle. So for example, let's say you have a certain electron here. You have a certain electron here, right? And if there is a force on it, force on electron will be how much? Q times electric field, right? And then it will be accelerated, right? Then from this you can find out the velocity, the position with time as a function of time. So this is all Newtonian mechanics, right? But when we came to the 20th century, early 20th century, uh, we basically this concept of electron as a particle started to break down, right? What happened? Some phenomena were observed. So some phenomena were observed. For example, there's a list of phenomena. One is called um, photoelectric effect, right? Or black body radiation. Probably you might have heard about these in your physics course. So can you recall what is black body radiation? So it's a radiation by the black body. Now what is a black body? Now typically you heat any object, it will radiate, right? Now black body will basically it will also emit a radiation, but with certain characteristic, right? So it will give out certain intensity, total amount of radiation, right? And they have been measured by scientists, that what is the intensity as a function of wavelength. So this y-axis is the intensity, x-axis is the wavelength. So what was observed, that maximum intensity was observed at certain temperature. So for a given temperature, the maximum intensity was observed at wavelength equal to 2900 by T. Now here T is in Kelvin and this wavelength is in micrometer. So for 300 Kelvin, lambda peak will be 2900 by 300. So 29 by 3. So at 300 Kelvin, lambda peak comes out to be uh, around 10, right? 29 by 3, right? So you can around 10, right? Micrometer, right? So this was kind of universal, right? It was independent of the material, right? So you see here, at larger wavelength intensity goes down, at lower wavelength also intensity goes down. Now classically what we expected, that as you increase the wavelength, intensity should go down, but at lower wavelength intensity is basically increasing unlimitedly. So this phenomena is also called ultraviolet catastrophe. So but this did not explain the observed spectrum. So what what was the solution for this one? There is one scientist called Planck, right? He assumed, just to explain this behavior, no reason was given why is the choice, just to explain this behavior, this quantization of energy was introduced, right? So energy was assumed to be h nu, right? Nu is basically frequency, right? So you can write either h nu or you can write h bar omega. So omega is 2 pi nu, right? And then h bar is h by 2 pi. So these two expression are similar and you should remember it. So when energy was assumed to be quantized, this behavior was explained. So that gave rise to the concept that energy could be quantized. Then another effect that was observed by Einstein few years later in 1905, that was photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect is that when you shine light on a metal and try to find out how many electrons are ejected from the metal. So the intensity of light did not matter. Means it can be very high intensity, but no photon will come out if the frequency is below certain critical frequency, right? So that means energy of individual photon is important to knock out the electrons, right? So that told us that each photon energy is also quantized. Then another quantization was observed in case of atomic spectra. So in photoelectric effect, this h nu can be written as work function, right? Work function or E5. So in atomic spectra, the energy transitions were at discrete energies. So there was a discrete spectra for different atoms, right? And this can again be explained if electrons occupied discrete energy in the atom. So electron revolving around atom, they occupy discrete energy, will give rise to discrete spectrum. Now this can again be explained. Now how it is that electron can only have discrete energies, or they can have only particular energies, right? So this is possible when electron also show wave nature. It is coming in the next slide, by the way. So then another one is basically wave particle duality. So interference pattern was detected when electrons were going through that. What is this experiment called? For interference pattern, the slit experiment.
Division gamma.
Huh?
Division
Double
gamma.
slit, right? Yeah, double slit experiment, right? So let's say if you send one electron here, then on the screen what you will see? If you have a detector here, then either you will detect electron or you will not detect electron, right? So it is still a particle. But when we observe statistical behavior, let's say we average it over a period of time, then we will get a pattern like this, right? So that showed that statistically this electron behave like a wave. So individual electron is behaving like a particle only, but if there are group of electrons or you observe this electron over a period of time, they show the statistical behavior which is similar to the wave, right? So this basically gave rise to two concepts. One is the quantization of energy, thus energy is quantized, and second, the particle can behave like a wave also, right? And you can recall that de Broglie relationship that says P is equal to h by lambda, correct? So P is momentum mb and lambda is the wavelength. But if you see any classical particle, their mass is very high, right? So that means lambda will be very small. Now, how can we get a decent lambda? If mass is less and so if mass is less, then lambda will be long, right? If mass is more, lambda will be less. So electron, their mass is less and they are accelerated at certain energy, their velocity can be controlled, right? So if they are moving at higher velocity, wavelength will be small. So smaller the wavelength, easier it is to recognize as a wave, right? And you can do some simple calculation also for photon and electron. So for the same momentum, you can find out what is the velocity of electron. Okay, that you try as homework. You will see it will be small enough. Okay. Now, what is the need for quantum mechanics, right? So in previous slide, we have discussed different phenomena that gave rise to the requirement of quantum mechanics, right? And that also emphasized that we have to solve some kind of wave equation, right? Because these electrons are particles, but they also behave like waves in atomic dimensions, right? So at atomic dimension, these electron behave like a wave, right? So we have to find out the equation which will govern these electrons, right? So these electrons are basically around atom, they are moving around, but these atoms, we are not in semiconductor, we are dealing with crystal, right, which is group of atoms. So these are the atoms here and they have their individual potential field, and let's say one electron is moving around here. So this is, you can say, surface, and this V naught is surface potential. So this is basically the work function energy. EV naught is the work function energy that is required to knock out the electron, and otherwise this electron is confined in this box here and is moving around, right? Now you notice here at this boundary, what is the probability of finding electron? So at this boundary, just at this boundary, there should be no electron here. Just at this boundary, there should be no electron here. And rest can have any wave function here, right? So which equation will govern this behavior of electron, right? So that is a subject matter of quantum mechanics, right? Now let us slightly go to the atom again. So in atom, it was assumed that electrons are moving around the nucleus, right? So this is a nucleus. Electrons are moving around this nucleus. Now, if you assume it like a solar model, now in solar model also there are discrete orbitals, right? If electron is just moving like that, what will happen? It is accelerated, and accelerated charge will emit radiation. And if radiation emitted, its energy is, electron is losing its energy, right? That means what will happen? It will eventually fall down at the nucleus, right? So atom will be unstable and spectra will be continuous. It will not be discrete. So this model was proposed, wave model, that only certain modes are allowed, and certain modes are basically, let's say electron is at distance r from the nucleus. So the circumference is 2 pi r. Now 2 pi r is should be multiple of lambda. Why? Because when electron come back here, it should come back in the same phase, so that it is consistent. If it is out of phase, then what will happen? It will average out and the wave will disappear. Correct? So only certain modes for which n lambda is equal to 2 pi r is allowed. And then momentum we know P is h by lambda, right? So if you combine these two, mvr will be h by lambda times n lambda by 2 pi. So you multiply these two. mv 2 pi r is n lambda times h by lambda, right? So lambda lambda cancel and nh by 2 pi, right? Or you can say nh bar. So mbr is nh bar. Now what is mbr? mbr is momentum, angular momentum, right? mv is momentum, mbr is angular momentum. Now angular momentum is n times h bar. So it can be h bar, 2h bar, 3h bar. That means it is quantized. So only quantized angular momentums are allowed. So for example, for single atom, for example, hydrogen like atom with one electron, if the atomic number is Z, you can write three equations here, right? That angular momentum is quantized, mbr is nh by 2 pi. Then these forces are balanced, right? So electron orbiting around mv square by r, and the attraction force due to nucleus qz times q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, they are equal. And the total energy of electron is given by kinetic energy plus potential energy, right? So if you solve this, you can obtain the expression for radius, and radius is n square by z times a naught, right? So and a naught is called Bohr radius, it's a constant. And then energy is E naught by n square times z square, right? Because hydrogen has z equal to 1, so you can just write E naught by n square. And this E naught is called Rydberg constant. So first orbital energy is minus 13.6. So if we plot energy like this, and if this is your reference, then after 13.6, electron is free, right? So beyond that, energy will be continuous, and below that, energy will be discrete. And you can also get the transition energy from here between two states. Let's say state with n, integer n, integer m. So let's say n equal to 1, m equal to 2. So 2 to 1 transition will give 13.6 times 1 minus 1 by 4, right? So this will be the energy of first transition. So 3 by 4 times 13.6 electron volt. So basically, now we need a suitable wave equation to describe the boundary conditions and describe the properties of this electron, to find the probability of finding electron, uh, and their velocity, their momentum. So all these things can be found using the wave equation, right? So that wave equation is called Schrodinger equation, and that we will begin our discussion in next class, right? So it's 8:57. I'm just stopping the recording now.